Let's go now to our political commentator and MSNBC contributor, Charlie Sykes. Also on our panel, Chris Shays, the former Republican congressman from Connecticut, and Bruce LeVell, executive director of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump and a former GOP county chairman. Charlie, let's start off with Nunes. What do you make of the chairman changing his story repeatedly, now saying that he was on the White House property, not because he was finding a secure facility, but he was finding the only secure facility that he could use to view these documents?
Every time he opens his mouth, he makes the case for an independent commission that much stronger. Every time he changes his story, he raises more doubts about any credibility that this House committee will have to investigate all of this. So I do agree that there's a lot more action going on in the Senate committee, but really I think that he either needs to step down or be removed, or we move to the independent commission.
Charlie, if it's not a White House staffer, as Nunes reportedly told a reporter, but instead an intelligence official, does that rule out everybody at the White House?
I don't really know. I mean, he's playing this weird shell game, the smoke and mirrors game, which seems to be generating drama for the sake of drama rather than information. So, again, I would rather have this in the hands of people who are serious, who are sober, and who are credible.
Congressman Shays, would this fly while you were serving in Congress, even regardless of what party was in charge or what party was investigated?
Well, I really feel sorry for him because he made two huge mistakes. The first mistake was to go to the White House. He could get the information in the Capitol building. And the second one was that what he said was irrelevant. Really what he was saying was something we all know. If you're taping someone and someone calls the person being taped, you're going to be part of what's taped. But you weren't the target. And so it was totally irrelevant.
Bruce, what do you make of the argument that this is the reason people do not trust this administration? Do you believe, or do you see something potentially shady going on here, or does this look like it's all above the board to you?
I think it's all above the board, and thanks for having me, Katie.
Of course.
I think it's unfortunate that we are chasing smoke, with these conspiracy theories, what have you, and it's so distracting because there's a lot of, a tremendous amount of big things that we need to be taking care of for the American people. Bruce, do you think the
White House contributes to those distractions, though, by Donald Trump tweeting that he was wiretapped by President Obama, or having Devin Nunes come to the White House to seemingly try to vindicate or add some cover to the president? I mean, do you think that they're potentially perpetuating these things?
No, I stand with the president, and I believe if he feels that his facility was compromised, then I stand with the president on that. And I don't believe President Trump would just say that just to be saying it unless there was some validation to that.
Bruce, what if Hillary Clinton said that?
I'm sorry?
What if Hillary Clinton said that?
If Hillary Clinton said what? If there was,
if she was in office and she said she believed that there was nefarious wiretapping going on of her.
Well, if any sitting president makes a comment, I think it opens a door that does have to be investigated. I don't think any sitting president would just say that just to say it.
And Charlie, what do you make of the Intelligence Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, now deciding to call Jared Kushner for the meetings that he had during the transition with the Russian ambassador and also the head of a Russian-controlled bank?
Well, this is interesting, the way this administration is really becoming a family business, isn't it? This is really a family affair. We'll find out whether or not, this is a serious matter, but this will not be covered by executive privilege. And once again, drip, drip, drip. We find these connections, all of these folks that are meeting with the Russians with somewhat sketchy explanations, but also, again, and this is it's almost been overshadowed, just the way the nepotism of this administration and the reliance of President Trump on his own son-in-law. So we don't know at this point, but it's getting much, much closer to the president, isn't it?
Well, every day there is a bit of new news that comes out. Congressman Shays, Donald Trump is now tasking his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's also one of his senior advisors, to lead what they're calling the SWAT team to essentially fix government. This is another hat that he's going to be wearing, including having to deal with other foreign nations and also potentially negotiate peace between the Palestinians and Israel. They're saying they want to run government like a business. Can you run government like a business? Is that possible?
Well, I guess you could do it if it's a family business, and that's why he's used to using his own relatives. But in a corporation, you don't use your family. So he's not running it like a business. He's running it like a family operation, and he's president of the United States, and it's simply wrong.
Bruce, what do you want to see this White House do in order to remove the cloud above it, in order to get it back into the good graces of not just those who supported Donald Trump, but the rest of the country?
Well, I think we're in great graces. I think we're steaming along really well.
Not with a good portion of the country, Bruce. The reality is it's a very divided nation. So what do you want to see to make the divide less?
Well, I want to come back to the point of President Trump running the country like a business. First of all, it needs some business experience in the White House. That's the problem with it and what got us in this mess in the beginning, spending things that we don't have money for and just doing business as usual. But I will tell you this, if the American people, if we can get the special interest groups and the PACs out of the American voters' business and out of Congress, we would be a much better democracy.
So what happened with health care then, if it's being run like a business and Donald Trump is a great negotiator? What happened with health care?
Well, case in point, when President Trump ran on wanting to become the president, doing something with Obamacare was very large in terms of the voter base, which is why we elected him. The other thing too is he tweeted this morning at 8:17 this morning. He said his comment was Club for Growth and all these other PACs and special interests that are involved in, as well as the caucus that went in there and undermined this. Granted, it wasn't the greatest, but it was a great plan and for the American people to get some kind of relief on this crazy Obamacare. That's killing us, especially the small business like myself who represent 80% of the nation's tax base. It's killing us.
Bruce, when you say the caucus, do you mean the Freedom Caucus?
Absolutely.
So you think it's the Freedom Caucus's fault?
All the above. We elected a congressperson to go there and represent. If you're a Republican congressman, you need to be the Republican congressman. We don't send you up there to join these other different groups. We send you up there to represent us as the district, by the people, for the people.
Well, different districts have different priorities, certainly.
Wait a second. When you're elected, you're elected.
Let Charlie jump in.
A 40% increase of Obamacare increases on my tax is out of control.
Charlie.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the God King failed on all of that, and here's part of the problem is that at the same time the Trump world is attacking these conservative organizations, and they bear some responsibility. They're also, you read Breitbart, you listen to Fox News, and they're pounding on Ryan. They're pounding on the supporters of this. So you have a two-front war against the people who are in favor of this bill and the people who are against this bill. And I think this is an indication of the incoherence of this administration's message on this.
No.
Russia, healthcare, Gorsuch, Jared Kushner. We're covering all sorts of angles and topics on this Monday. Guys, thank you. I appreciate it. Charlie Sykes, former Congressman Chris Shays, and Bruce LeVell. In just about 15 minutes, Sean Spicer is scheduled to host his first press briefing since the GOP healthcare plan failed. We'll bring that to you live. But first, Republicans in a tailspin following the collapse of the health care bill will ask a Democratic congressman if this is the opening his party has been waiting for to push their agenda. And are they game to work with the president moving forward? And that brings us to our Microsoft Pulse question of the day. Should Democrats work with Republicans to